Fantasy Blind Spot, where we shine the light on what you can't see. He's a cornerstone piece. He's a guy you're going to want on your fantasy team.
It's all about them splash plays.
Oh my God, did that just happen? I can't believe he made that catch.
He's got that big play ability.
The football gods made this guy to play football.
All right, so he's just an explosive runner. He's one of those guys that when he gets in the open space, he just puts his foot in the ground and he's gone.
What's up? What's up? Welcome into Fantasy Blind Spot, where we shine a light on things you can't see. I am the Blind Guy. You can find me on X at the Blind Guy FF. With me, as always, is my co-host, the crazy Canadian Shawn Thompson. You can find him on X at Maximus8911. Thanks everybody for listening. Remember, hit that like, hit that subscribe. How you doing, bud?
Well, I'm doing all right, and I'm just, really enjoying this Jarrett verse situation. I think that's freaking hilarious, man. Yeah, like as soon as he gets there, he goes and takes the jersey, number 8. This one picture I'm going to put up here is pretty hilarious. It's got like the 8 ripped off of Dylan Gabriel and sewn on to Jarrett versus jersey. But the Browns told him in a conversation, hey, you can have number 8 when you come. They didn't even tell Dylan Gabriel before he got there, so he knew he was number 8. And then before his first practice, he went and grabbed Dylan Gabriel's jersey out of his locker and then started wearing Gabriel's jersey. It actually said the name Gabriel on the back of his jersey at the first practice.
And those two guys are very different sizes.
Yeah,
right? And think about the size difference.
Oh, it looked small on him, man. It was crazy. But talk about, hey, this is Kevin Stefanski's guy. We never wanted him. Kevin wanted him because, like, if you don't even tell the quarterback, hey, we're going to have to give you an odd number, chances are you're going to end up on the practice squad because we're looking at giving you 34 or whatever, because that's the other thing in this is if you look at it, all the numbers from 0 to 19, which quarterbacks are allowed to take, are either taken or have been retired. So there's no other jersey for him. So I don't know how Gabriel makes this roster other than on the practice squad.
It's just such a weird story because he was also a 3rd-round pick. And so, like, that's tough to just give up on a 3rd-round pick like that, which, I mean, we kind of talked about they did that anyway when they made him the pick, but just such a wild story. And they said, like, none of the quarterback numbers are available 1 through 19. And so they might be waiting on permission from the NFL to give him a non-quarterback number, which is just, or maybe they're just waiting because maybe all those guys aren't going to make the team. You know what I mean? So who knows?
Yeah, it could be that, but it's still at the same time, you still need a number for the guy because he's on the team, right?
Right.
It's just a completely weird and unique situation that I've never seen before, but you knew it was coming once they allowed other positions to use these numbers, right? This is what Tom Brady was talking about years ago.
Right.
Just nuts. But
exactly.
That's what I've been doing mostly with my time. How you doing?
Not too bad. Trying to enjoy the weather while we had it, but now it's supposed to be turning to rain like a week straight or something like that. So,
really?
It goes 88 today, and thunderstorms. So it's going to be a weird one today. That hot, sticky.
Yeah, we're pretty much the same thing. So, but got some other things we could talk about here. So I got the most costly trades in NFL history that they have ever done. So the first one they have here is the 1989 Vikings trade, where they traded for Herschel Walker. Basically gave Dallas 4 players, a bunch of picks, where 3 of them were first-round picks, and this is what led around to the Troy Aikman Dallas Cowboys becoming what they were, was this trade that Jimmy Johnson pulled off.
Yeah, and this was one that at the time I think everybody thought was still went on to have a good career.
Yeah, I don't really remember him on the Vikings.
I don't either. So I think everybody remembers this trade though because of Aikman.
Yeah, for sure. Like it turned around the Cowboys, right? Which is America's team, or how they advertise it. So the next one we got here is the 2011 Falcons, where they traded to move up to get Julio Jones. They actually did this with the Cowboys as well. Mm-hmm. And Dallas got 2 firsts, 1 second, and 2 fourths out of the deal, which really stifled the Falcons because they weren't able to do anything after this trade because they weren't ready to make a move like that.
Super Bowls did the Falcons get? I think they got
0.
Oh, did they have? Yeah, I was gonna say, did they have any after that?
Nope, not at all. And then the next one we got here, the third one is 2021, recent one with the 49ers. A lot of these are more recent. This is the one where they moved up to get Trey Lance. They gave up 3 first and a third to get him, which I thought was an all right move at the time to get one of those quarterbacks. But Trey Lance was not the guy I thought as a 49ers fan that we should go after. And they freaking went and got him. And so it is what it is and worked out how it did.
Yeah, exactly. And he's still in the league for what that's worth. Who knows if he'll ever be a starter because he's playing behind Justin Herbert right now. He's not going anywhere.
Oh, I doubt he's ever a starter. If he does, it's going to be the Geno path. Going to need some luck to happen, especially with next year's quarterback class and people falling in love with that already. The fourth one we got is the 2022 Denver Broncos trading for Russell Wilson, and they gave up 2 firsts, 2 seconds, 1 fifth, and 3 players in that deal. And Russell was washed, and the Seahawks knew it and tricked the Broncos.
Yeah, that one was just weird. And like even looking at it now, that's such a haul to get. And it's not like Russ's year before that was great either. So
no, it wasn't
that one
at
was
all
interesting, but the Broncos have definitely bounced all the way back.
Yep. Then we got the 1999 Saints trading for Ricky Williams, which they gave up their entire 1999 draft class and a first and a third in 2000. So the following year, they gave up a couple more picks just to get Ricky Williams to come and quit football.
that one was wild too. And I don't think he even played a full season with the Saints after they gave all that up. If I remember right, wasn't he hurt like right away?
Yeah, and then he retired afterwards, I think. I think he did 2 seasons there, but got hurt both of them and then just said, fuck this, and walked away. I was watching an interview with him with John Gruden there last night, talking about why he smoked marijuana. Basically, it was because of all the outside noise from the being in the NFL and dealing with that sort of pressure. So he's like, I had to turn that noise off so that I could concentrate on film study.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I don't know if you have ever smoked weed while you and you're just in the flow state of it. Those tasks that you're not necessarily thrilled about doing.
For sure. All right, we'll move on to the next one, which is in 2012. We got RG3, and he was traded for 3 firsts and 1 second, which was a good move. It just he got injured and again didn't work out well.
Yeah, that another one just kind of. Some of these trades, you make a big move, you take the risk, and then sometimes it doesn't work.
Yep. Kind of like this next one with Deshaun Watson. Dumbest trade ever, I think, in the NFL. They got Deshaun Watson, who was obviously just coming off of this, whatever he was doing with these massage parlor people. There was a lot of them. And they gave up 3 firsts, 1 third, and 2 fourths. And then when he got to Cleveland, they gave him a $230 million contract, fully guaranteed. And he has not done crap since he's got there. He's just looked like he's been washed because he was away from the game too long.
Yeah, 100%. And then I think it was the first season he was on the field. He showed you like a couple throws where you're like, oh, that guy might still be in there. But then I don't know that he ever mentally recovered either. So it's just one of those situations. It hasn't worked all around. And to me, it's still crazy that they're trying to Watson's leading in this QB competition.
Oh, I think that's hilarious too. Like, just pay the guy and let him walk off your team because he's too much of a goddamn distraction. And then the last one we got here is the 2023 when the Carolina Panthers gave up DJ Moore 2 firsts and 2 seconds to get Bryce Young. I think it's too early to judge that trade. Let's see what he does this year, and then maybe we can throw it on here.
Yeah, I would agree completely. And he's still on his rookie deal, right? 5th-year option right now.
Did they pick it up?
It's still too soon to tell. No,
I wasn't sure if they picked his up.
So I don't think they did because of quarterback contracts. They escalate so much.
Yeah. All right, we got another good little fun debate here. Best pure passer to ever grace the game, and they got 4 names here: Peyton Manning, Dan Marino, Drew Brees, and Aaron Rodgers. Probably the correct 4 to have on here when I do a quick mind scan of NFL, because they probably were the prettiest passers and the most accurate. I have a lot to say about Aaron Rodgers, but that's has nothing to do with how he throws a football. Because he throws the football well. But out of these 4, who do you think's the best pure passer?
Well, so I feel like I'm a little biased, and I still say it's Drew Brees. Peyton threw a great ball, but every once in a while you'd see that duck come out, but it was still accurate. Passer to me is like, how pretty does it look, right? Like, how good does that ball look when it's coming out of your hand?
Well, if I'm going
Marino, unfortunately, I didn't get to watch enough of him.
Who, Marino?
Yeah, I feel like I kind of saw the end of his career when I was little and didn't fully appreciate what I was watching. So I saw the most of Brees and Manning. So
in our generation, right? But if you're going best pure passer, to me, I'm going with Dan Marino.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't freaking coach that sort of stuff back then, and he just had that natural off the ball to the point where he went to college and was playing in Pittsburgh. And he was threw his first ball, and the coach came up to him and was like, "Where'd you learn how to throw a ball?" He's like, "My dad." He said, "Up and out." So he had his arm up when he threw it and out like that. And that was his whole mechanical process. And then the college coach said, "Don't ever change your throwing stance. Like, whatever anybody says, just keep it because it's perfect." So without any coaching, like Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, they all had these quarterback coaches that taught them to drop, step back, how their motion should be with their arm, and, you know, with video cameras on them and not. Nope, Dan Marino just had his dad when he was a kid, out and up, and that's how he learned how to throw the football. So if I'm saying best pure passer, it's got to be Dan Marino.
And that is true and fair when you consider like the era these guys were in. Like Peyton and Drew, like, yeah, they're old school now compared to like the new guys that are coming in, but they had a little more coaching and advantages and the mechanics and all these cameras you can have to watch your throwing motion and refine your mechanics. Marino was just like, okay, let me go throw the ball.
Yep. Great. All right, let's look at Pro Bowls here. We got the most Pro Bowl selections in franchise history per team. So we got Larry Fitzgerald leads the Cardinals with 11. The Falcons have Matt Ryan with 4. Ray Lewis leads the Ravens with 13. Bruce Smith has 11 for the Bills. Kuechly has 7 for the Panthers. The Bears have Walter Payton with 9. Anthony Munez with 11 for the Bengals. Joe Thomas, 10 for the Browns. Jason Witten leads the Cowboys with 11. That's a bit of a surprise.
I didn't realize he had that many. That's a lot.
And then I see this as a cheat here because I got Peyton Manning for the Broncos with 9. Well, he only played there 4 years, didn't he?
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was just the one contract.
Who they got the Colts? I can't even. Oh, there's the Colts, and they got Peyton Manning on the Colts with 11. So how the hell is that even possible?
That's not right. Some don't add up here.
Yeah, Barry Sanders has 10. Rodgers has 10 for the Packers. Andre Johnson 7 for the Texans. Tony Bonzizi leads the Jaguars with 5. Tony Gonzalez, the Chiefs, with 14. Gene Upshaw has 7 for the Raiders. Chargers have Antonio Gates with 8. The Rams have, who's this? Merlin Olsen with 14. Marino leads the Dolphins. Mick Tengoff has 6 for the Vikings. Brady has 14 for the Patriots. Breeze has 13 for the Saints. And this one surprised me a lot, too. Eli Manning has 4 for the Giants. Telling me how long the Giants have been in this league that you've only got 4 is your top guy of Pro Bowls.
I mean, then we got Lawrence Taylor never really made him.
That's exactly what I was thinking. How does Lawrence Taylor not have more than 4? But there's a lot of guys, man. We got Joe Kelko for the Jets with 4. Chuck Bedmark with 8 for the Eagles. Joe Greed for the Steelers with 10. Joe Montana for the 49ers with 8. Russell Wilson for the Seahawks with 9. Derek Brooks for the Bucks with 11. And then we finish off with Bruce Matthews for the Titans with 14 and Darryl Green for the Commanders with 7. couple little surprises, especially that Giants one. Like, I'm surprised 4 is the highest somebody got.
Yeah, that doesn't seem right. And then I was also surprised to hear Russell Wilson with 9. But one of the other things that kind of stood out on this list is look at all the tight ends and how many Pro Bowls they have.
Well, that's just it. And then you think of the Giants, right? Who's been their best quarterback?
Mm-hmm.
Eli Manning. I wouldn't even say he was like top 10. Maybe you could make the argument for top 20 of all time. But and then before him, it was Phil Simms. They've never really had a quarterback.
Yeah.
That just dominates the game. But you look at that, so you can see some of these teams, like the Broncos, don't even have a guy that they drafted. It's been guys that have come over from other teams steal their spots. I don't think they should have Peyton Manning here in for the Broncos. There's got to be somebody else. Like with John Elway, he's got to be up there around 7 or 8. He should probably be there first. All right. And then we thought we'd go to the best QBs in the NCAA of all time. It doesn't really coincide how you were thinking and how it works out with drafted, because you see some of these names and you're like, oh yeah, they were good college, but they suck shit in the NFL.
Yeah.
So number 1, Tim Tebow, Heisman winner, 2-time national champion, the greatest quarterback to ever grace the college game, in my opinion. They've got him at 1, so I'm not going to disagree. 2, they got Cam Newton.
I don't have a dispute for them.
No, but 2 is Cam Newton.
Won himself a championship.
Yep, Heisman winner. His championship, he won that with Tim Tebow, though.
What's that?
He won his championship on the same team as Tebow.
Cam Newton?
Yep. He was a Florida Gator backing up Tim Tebow when they won that first championship, and then he transferred to Auburn.
Oh, well, then Cam's got 2 because he won in Auburn.
Oh, did he? Okay, so then they should have 2 here because he was in Tim Tebow when they won one. So they're just counting their starter stuff then.
Yeah, that makes sense.
3rd is Joe Burrow, Heisman winner. Also a historical 2019 season they got listed here. And probably the one that became there's somebody down further. He's definitely the newest guy that's performing well. So 4 is Vince Young, 2006 Rose Bowl.
Okay.
5 is Tommy Frazier, 2-time national champion for Nebraska. 6, they got Deshaun Watson, national champion and playoff legend. 7, they got Peyton Manning, SEC legend. 8, they got Doug Flutie, Heisman winner, Hail Mary legend guy. 9 is Baker, Heisman winner, and 10 is Johnny Manziel, Heisman winner.
Yeah, I figured this list because that was the only game that he actually dominated was the college level, because he was just the best athlete on the field at any given time.
What? Speaking of like the Broncos and how bad they do, especially at drafting the quarterback. So Paxton Lynch, he's the last guy that John Lynch drafted, right, as a quarterback. It was his last selection before he gave up GM duties with the Broncos. Paxton Lynch, since being in the NFL and being benched and cut, has been cut in every major football league since the CFL, the XFL, and the USFL.
Yeah, just crazy.
He's the only quarterback to do that.
That's
just nuts.
That's kind of a wild stat.
Yep, but we can get it in, talk some ball.
Yes, sir.
Time for the Grape Light, where we discuss what's happening around the league.
All right, we're into the Grape Light, and we're going to start out with the Brandon Ayuk situation. Don't know really what we should call it. This guy basically gone crazy. So basically, the 49ers got contacted. There's an arrest warrant out for him because this guy goes on and records himself speeding crazily through a residential zone, posted on Instagram, and that's what got the arrest warrant for him put out because of the speeding. 49ers can't find him. He then goes and does another Instagram post where he basically blames the 49ers and said they're like a spoiled kid who doesn't want to put their toy down because they know that another kid's going to come along and want to play with that toy. And then he ends that Instagram post with wearing a Washington Commanders baseball cap.
Yeah, this is just a crazy one. I don't understand, like, he can't get out of his own way at this point, right? Like, first off, he posted himself doing, what was it, like 130 and a 35 or something crazy like that?
Yeah, it's something similar to that. It was just
and then,
way too fast in the area he was going. At least Rashid Rice was respectful enough to speed on a highway.
Yeah, like a 3 or 4 lane highway or something. But I mean, it's just insane. And then you're posting stuff all over, trashing the team that still controls your outcome. Like, whether you want to admit it or not, you're under contract. So it just, I don't know. It's just so weird.
There was that guy. I think he's a new guy on that Good Morning Football show. I can't know, but every time I flip through it, he seems to be on it now as one of the main 2 guys where Nate Burleson was. But he was saying, stop it, Brandon Ayuk, grow up. Everything that's happening to you isn't the 49ers' fault. It's been based off of decisions you have made in life have got you to this point. Suck it up, apologize, and move on, which is great advice. And I hope Brandon Ayuk takes it because that's what he needs to do. Because right now you're acting like a spoiled kid. And why would anybody want to bring that into their locker room?
Absolutely. And that's the other part of it. And it's funny because he's talking about how the 49ers are the spoiled kid that has a toy and doesn't want it. And then somebody else comes along and wants it. And now you can't have it because I want it now. Dude, that's exactly how you're acting. You've made mistakes. You didn't own up to them, and you're blaming everybody else for it. Like, what are we doing here?
Stupidness, Alex. Stupidness.
Yep.
We also have, what's his name? John Cooper from the Broncos.
Oh, Jonathan Cooper.
Yep. Was arrested on domestic violence. He went to court, pled not guilty. We'll see what happens with that situation.
Yeah, and we're still waiting on the Josh Jacobs situation to kind of resolve itself too. Man, that's the worst part about summer is just try to get through the summer with no NFL players in the news. It ain't going to happen.
Well, I think the Josh Jacobs situation is a lot different than the Cooper situation. Cooper sounds like he just slapped his woman. I don't know what really happened, but it sounds like, something like that. Where what Jacobs did, it looks like he might not even have a chance to play this season, and not because of the NFL, because of law enforcement's going to have him in jail because his was so bad. So that's why he's a wait and see for me to see what happens with him.
Yeah, absolutely. And with him too, like he was released the next day after his lawyers supposedly gave evidence, but we also still haven't heard anything. And of course the team is saying, the head coach and he are saying just business as usual. Yeah, because at this point you have to, right?
Yep. Try to move on, but they got that. And they got Green Bay also has, what's his name there? Micah Parsons. He came out and said he's not going to be ready till mid-October. Yeah,
something about his back injury, right?
Yep. So Green Bay falling apart before the season even starts. I love it.
Well, and that's where I think Dallas was warning him and why they didn't want to pay him as much as he wanted, right? Was because they saw something with his back?
Yep, something like that.
Yeah.
We also got the Pittsburgh Steelers extended Darnell Washington, 4 years, $42 million with 21 of it fully guaranteed. What do you think of this deal?
I think it's interesting because he is such a good blocker and there's so many things you could do with him. And Aaron Rodgers last year realized like, I could just throw it to this guy and he just runs dude over because he's just bigger than everyone.
Well, that's just it.
He brings a good part to the offense and he's versatile. So I'm okay with it. 21 million, that's $7 million a year. That's not breaking the bank.
Well, you know what it tells me? He's your new tight end one for the Steelers, and Muth has become the afterthought.
Or is it like the rest of the league too, where we see a lot more 12 and 13 personnel and Washington's blocking and Muth is going to be the guy that maybe throws a chip block, leaks out, and then makes a 10-yard run or something.
Yeah, but Muth can do that too. So why not get the bigger friggin' guy that people can't tackle out there? Because you don't need to run these crazy routes, right? Like if you want a tight end to run a longer route, you could obviously put Muth out there. But you just want him for those get past the line, just right in front of those linebackers because you're twice the size of a linebacker. You can throw them off you, check them down the ball, and just see how it goes. But I'm expecting him to be the tight end one for the Steelers this year.
Oh, I think so, especially with the connection he had with Rodgers as they finished the season last year.
Yeah, bit of a
So,
sleeper.
I think so. Yep.
Next, we're back to the Packers here. They extended Christian Watson 4 years, $110 million, and also gave him $31 million in a sign-in bonus.
Yeah, that's a lot of money, and hopefully he's able to get himself healthy and stay healthy for their full season. That's actually a lot like that Alec Pierce contract, which I think makes sense because they're similar players.
Yep, and that's just they're going to be giving him the ball now, right? They gave him that 1 year, $12 million last year. Kind of, they must have liked what they saw because now they're extended him. They traded Dobbs away. The room's getting a little cleaner, so we're kind of just seeing who's coming out of that Green Bay room. Took a few years, but we're getting there.
Yeah, and they locked up Jaden Reed on that too. I think we talked about that last week.
Yeah, and then we got the Chiefs have brought back L'Jarius Sneed on a 1 year deal for $5 million, making the Chiefs a bit more stronger.
Yeah, that's a good deal for both sides there. He didn't seem to be the same when he was in Tennessee. I know injuries caught up with him a little bit, and of course age as he's getting older, but he was dominant in that Kansas City defense. They won back-to-back Super Bowls with him on the team.
Yep. It's a good move by the Chiefs. We also got the Rams have reworked Myles Garrett deal. So he goes from making $31 million this season now to $37 million just from being traded. Gotta like that.
Yeah.
And then in Detroit, Kendrick Law tore his ACL in practice. Kind of a death piece there, but one of their draft picks. I think he was a 5th round draft pick.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So he's done for the season. And then what we got here is another interesting little tidbit of the Chicago Bears basically have released a statement stating that they're all but going to go to Indianapolis, Hanover, because the board of directors have voted to move there. And that deal for the stadium that Indianapolis offered, man, that's kind of like a deal you can't say no to. Have you heard this yet?
Why don't you share the details? Because I have, and I remember thinking it's completely insane, but I don't remember the exact details.
So basically, Chicago's got to put in $2 billion to build this, what they project to be $5 billion stadium.
When you say Chicago, you mean the franchise, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Bears.
Yeah.
When I say Chicago, I mean the Bears. I'll try to say the Bears. So then the city of Hanover will put in $3 billion to finish it. And then for 30 years, the Chicago Bears will get all revenue from the concession stands, no matter if it's a concert, whatever's held there. The Bears get all the revenue. And then at the end of the 30 years, if they still want to stay in Hanover and in that stadium, they can buy the stadium for $1. And the city's basically getting their $3 billion back because if you come to see the Bears play in Hanover, then you're paying a couple of taxes on your hotel stays and at restaurants to make up for that money. Yeah.
That's a hell of a deal for the Bears. And if you are the Chicago Bears, like, yeah, there's the, hey, we're Chicago, we're one of the storied franchises. Yeah, but if the city's giving you the bird like they seem to be, you've been trying to build a stadium for years. Dude, this is a sweetheart deal, and it helps both the Bears and the state of Indiana. So,
well, what I found really funny too is after the Bears finally announced this, that hey, it's looking like we're going. Like we've got a foot out the door. It's going to be hard. The freaking city of Chicago threw an emergency committee together to try to friggin' get them to stay in Chicago. I don't know how you match that deal.
Yeah, I mean, you can try. If you're Chicago, you can match the deal because you can afford that. But do you really want to do that? The way that city's been operating? I mean, I don't see it happening.
Be interesting.
Kind of crazy, though.
We're going to see the Hanover Bears because I don't see how you keep the name Chicago. Like the 49ers, San Francisco 49ers, you're an hour and a half away. How far is Hanover from Chicago?
I don't
and at least
know.
San Fran's still in the same state, too.
Yeah, and that's the weird part is like, that was going to be my next question is what name do you go with? Do you go with Hanover? Do you go with?
I think you got to go with the Indianapolis Bears, right?
A suburb of Indianapolis?
Yeah, be interesting to see. And then in other big news, Sorsby, the quarterback for Texas Tech, lost his appeal for the NCAA to be eligible goes to a judge signs an order, boom, you're eligible. So he's going to play. Doesn't matter about the gambling. He's playing this year. And there is a lot of people.
See, and that's the other thing. I've actually seen that there. Well, and to be fair, they probably should be. Like, this doesn't make any sense. He gambled on his own team while on the team. Like, that is the definition of collusion. Whether you still control the outcome, you can't gamble on your sport and especially your team. But I have seen and heard that there is still a path for this to go to another judge that makes it so that he can't play. And I think the reasoning for that has something to do with the fact that he signs contracts before the season stating that he won't gamble on his games and stuff like that. Like, this is one of the most cut and dry rules. I don't understand how we can act like there's no consequences.
Yeah, it's a strange one, that's for sure. That I don't think he ends up playing because, like you said, right, there's other avenues. It's going to get before the Supreme Court, and is all this going to be done before the college game starts? I think what's going to happen is he's going to miss the compensation draft in June because he's not right now. He's eligible and will probably become ineligible after that, and therefore missing his opportunity to get into the NFL. And now he has to sit out a year, and maybe that's what they're gunning for.
Right, and I think that realistically, one way that he can prove that like he's willing to resolve it, you need a college team to match it. But what if you just suspended him for the whole year? He hits the whole, but still you're setting a precedent that like, okay, well, if you gamble, you're going to miss a year. Yeah, that could ruin your career, but if you're good enough, we saw Jamar Chase sit a whole year. So I just think you need to make it so that if any player is ever gambling on their own sport, you need to make the penalties harsh enough that they don't do it. You know what I mean?
Oh, if you bet on your own sport, man, what the NFL has to do, and this will clear it all up. You don't need to go out and do things crazy. You don't even need the NCAA to do anything. The NFL just has to put in a little clause in their contract. If you are caught gambling on the sport of football, you can no longer be considered to be a player or an employee of the NFL. Covers college ball, everything. So now, Sorsby, yeah, you bet. We know your bet. You're still eligible for Texas Tech to play this year, like the judge says, but you will never be in the NFL because you bet.
Yeah, and that would solve all of it. And the other crazy part of this, which is why I still can't comprehend the judge ruled this way. They said that he was sending friends up to $65,000 total to make bets in his name. So like if you're having people bet for you, you know you're doing something wrong. It just
he knew he was doing something wrong, but clearly he didn't care because he knew he'd get away with it because his talent, right?
Yeah,
we just see it again.
Well, and I think I told you this last thing on this. I told you this offline, but Cincinnati was made aware of this back in 2024. So it's not like this is something that just came out. And you and I thought he checked into rehab and that was how the NCAA found out. It turns out it was the other way around. He found out he was about to get busted and went, oh shit, I got to go to rehab. And then went and completed a 35-day rehab. Like, good for him for trying to get the help. But now you've already tainted it to where it looks like you did it because you knew you were busted.
Oh, for sure he did. That's what 90% of the people go into these rehab things for because they are busted. It's very rare you find somebody that actually wants the help that goes to these rehab facilities. And those ones that actually want the help and are ready for it, I think they come out of it better at the end. But a lot of these people go just because they have to, like Sorsby, right? Oh, this will save me and get me to be eligible to play for Texas Tech again. Like, yeah, okay, but that's everywhere. It's not even just NCAA. That's every job there, every field. Like, some drunk comes in, oh, you're late again. We're going to have to fire you. Oh, I got an alcohol problem. Send me to rehab. But they don't really want to fix the problem.
Right, because they don't necessarily see it as a problem. That's the first step. So,
all right. We also got the UFLs obviously coming close to an end. We have the all UFL team defense here. Let people see that. Like, those names are a little, maybe I'll blow it up. Okay, so from the Storm, we have a defensive tackle, Isaiah Rogers. Defensive tackle from the Battlehawks is Carlos Davis. Edge from the Kings, Cam Dell, Derek Robinson, edge from the DC Defenders, Tony Fields, linebacker from the Aviators, Ty Crowder, the linebacker from the Stallions. The Stallions also have another linebacker, Kenyon Tenzino. Cornerbacks are from DJ Miller from the Aviators, Corey Mayfield from the Kings, and Kerry Wright Jr. from the Gamblers, with the safety Major Burns safety from the Gamblers. And I had not seen anything yet for the offense. So I don't know if they're doing that this week or what.
Offense either.
But we do have the UFL. One of the things that's
interesting is there's some former NFL names in there.
Oh yeah. A couple guys that were just hung around for a little bit and then moved on. But we also got the UFL's MVP finalists. So they're going Cam Gill, the edge for the Kings, having a great season. Another edge from the Defenders, Derek Robinson, and Jordan Tamu, the quarterback from the DC Defenders. Those three guys are in the finals of the UFL. And then Jack Plummer from the Storm is the final guy.
I think it's going to end up being one of those first three, just because of the fact they are playing in the final. And the interesting thing about it is that two of those are defensive edges. So
yeah, I think it's going to be one of those two guys personally, because if you think about the UFL season, this season, it was like more defense than anything. Like there was some great defense.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think you'll see and like think about that for the sport, man. It's just all around better if you stop giving it to the quarterback all the time and give it to a different position. It's going to open them up, because people hate the MVP position in the NFL now, because they know it's a quarterback award. Make it not a quarterback award in the UFL, you'll get more fans.
Right, you're showing you're not just a copycat league. You're doing your own thing, and you are giving it to the players you think are the best and have the most impact.
Yep, but that's what we got for the news. Now that you got the grapes, go make the wine.
Bell time. Let's get into it. The league that the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has things to do with, United Football League.
All right, we're on to UFL talk. First week of the playoffs is in the books. So let's go to the game one we had. So the first game we got here is the DC Defenders versus the Orlando Storm, who was number one to finish the season, and the Defenders won 28-22. Now, I was watching this game pregame show, and you know how players in the NFL give a speech, and it's pretty motivational speech, right? Like when you hear Ray Lewis give a speech or somebody else. I don't know who it was giving the speech for the Storm, but I heard it. It was like, you know, you want to be here, but it's like the intensity level of the speech would go from like 100% saying the NFL and right down to 60 or 50, because it was like, man, this speech is not motivational. It's like you don't even want to give it, is how it sounds.
Like a hostage situation.
Yeah, basically, it was different, but it is what it is, right? Because it's not as prevalent, and you understand why people get to that NFL different, because the mindset's different, not necessarily the physical body, but the mindset. DC led it after the first quarter 14-3 and never looked back in this. Bean for DC is the quarterback. He threw 233 yards, one touchdown, no interceptions. Plummer threw for 226, one touchdown, one interception. KJ Hamler was his number one target with 4 catches for 82 yards.
Yeah, and that's a name that he's been coming on a little lately. We've been hearing it more often as the games have gone on. Did you see too? This ended up being a neutral field game because Orlando supposedly had venue issues.
I didn't know why they went to Daytona, but I know that they did.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, that's cool. They got to play in Daytona. I'm sure that was a fun time for them too. But it kind of sucks that you put together this awesome season for Orlando.
Well, the coach afterwards even talked in the press conference how much fun the atmosphere was because of the people from Daytona that came for the first time to see the game and really enjoyed it. So the fans did do a lot in that game, and the players appreciate it. So DC moved on to the finals, and then the next game we had in the playoffs was the Louisville Kings going to play the St. Louis Battlehawks, and the Kings continue their tear and win 29-20. The Kings were up 11-3 after the first. St. Louis led at a half, though, 17-11. But the Kings came back to hold the Battlehawks in the second half to just a field goal and go on with the win. For the Kings, Rogers had 162 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Wheeler had 89 on the ground and a touchdown. And Isaiah Winstead had 3 catches for 66 yards. The Kings had 4 sacks and 1 interception. So for the Battlehawks side, Perez went 249 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Howard had 70 yards on the ground and a touchdown. McBride was the number 1 target with 6 catches for 84 yards, and they had 2 sacks and 1 interception. So it was defense that won this for the Kings. They came on when they needed to in the second half.
Absolutely, and that's what I was just going to say about this game was Louisville's defense just dominated this one, where they controlled the ball. Their quarterback only had 20 attempts in this whole game, so I think he was 12 for 20. Was his final line? Like, it's just defense and run the ball, and with those 4 sacks and an interception, it helps out.
Yeah, for sure. So that gives us our final for the UFL, which will be played on Saturday at 3 o'clock on ABC between the DC Defender and the Louisville Kings. I'll be cheering for the Kings in this one, man. It's been a magical season for them, but the Defenders are also the ones that kind of backwalked into the playoffs with a loss from another team and losing that final week. So,
yeah, and DC is also the defending champions. I think this is their 3rd time in the final. It hasn't been the UFL the whole time, but with the league that they've been in, it's the 3rd time in a row they've been in a final. But that Louisville roll has been awesome. They've won 5 straight now. They won 6 of their last 7. See if they can finish it off, win this magical season as the expansion team.
Yep. Be good to see. Be good for the league. It's first time Birmingham hasn't really been in it either. So, because I think they've been in the final every year since the UFL formed.
Mm-hmm. And the tough part to overcome for Louisville is that this game is also in St. Louis. So I don't know if that was designed that way or it's just because they're the highest seed coming in. Except they're not. So
no,
yeah, they must have that.
They said that they were having it in St. Louis to award the fans because it was the biggest fan base last year that showed up.
Oh, okay.
So they wanted that fan base for the actual game and the atmosphere for the championship game. So that's why they're hosting it in St. Louis until other teams prove otherwise.
Yeah, and that's fair. And even last week, they had 18,000 in that arena for St. Louis. So they're still showing out.
Yep. St. Louis wants NFL back in a big freaking time, man.
Yes, they do.
Well, all right. Well, that's what we got for UFL talk. Stay tuned for next week when we talk about the championship and who the new UFL champ is.
Brighter light.
All right, we're into Brighter Light where we compare a couple players. So for you today, Alex, I kind of did the same thing, just went a little bit further down the board. So for this one, you're probably round 7, round 8, kind of around that turn. So here's who I got for you. Your choices are Devontae Adams from the Rams, Matthew Golden from the Packers, or Ricky Pearsall from the 49ers. All guys with issues, all guys with upside.
Yes. Oh boy. These are very interesting options. We're talking like a flex play, I would hope.
Yeah, I would think so by the time you're in round 7 and 8.
So the order that you listed them is probably how my gut would have them, with Adams at the top, but that's because of that touchdown upside. But Stafford also probably has more of an injury risk than those other 2 guys. And if you lose Stafford, is Adams worth anything? Golden is a guy that, as you know, we didn't really care for it coming out, like didn't necessarily see the hype. It was just he ran really fast, so Green Bay took him in the first round. And Pearsall hasn't proven that he can stay on the field.
Well, Ricky Pearsall, the first 3 games last year, was on track for 1,600 yards and 20 touchdowns till he got injured.
And the crazy part is, too, I think he ended the last year, his last 2 games, it was like over 140 yards or something, or it was 230 yards combined between the 2 games. To finish the year before. So he, to me, has the highest ceiling. Even with Adams' touchdown potential, which we saw, I don't think he repeats his 14 again this year. Man, and Pearsall on the other side has Mike Evans, who could help him when he's on the field, but with Evans' age, is he going to be on the field? All right, I'm gonna quit filibustering here, and I'll just go Ricky Pearsall because I like Purdy, probably the best of the 3 quarterbacks. I mean, Stafford just put together an MVP season, but there's that injury risk still. Not that Purdy's clean. Yeah, okay, I'm done. Yeah, give me Pearsall.
Yeah, that's who I'd probably end up on too. I saw Mike Evans talk about why he came to the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
My fucking mind, man. And then it's like, okay, I see why all these teams are having problems with Instagram massage parlor people because your fucking teams are retarded. So basically, Mike Evans called up George Kittle before he signed and was like, sell me on the 49ers because he knew he wanted to come because of Purdy. He liked Purdy's game and thought he could work well with them, but he wasn't sure about the organization. So George Kittle starts going on how the 49ers cook you meals 3 times a day, 7 times a week. Goes on how they bring in 3 times a week. They bring in massage people to massage you, acupuncture people, like all those types of healing bodies. Like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they come to fix you after the game, right? Like, so you don't have to go out and get massage parlor people yourself. And I'm just like, what? This isn't standard? It's like issue. Like you should have to provide at least 2 days of massage to these players with what they're going through. Like every tackle's like a mini car accident.
Yes, 100%. Like it. Obviously, I don't own an NFL franchise. If I did, one of the things I think I would invest the most heavily in is your recovery process. Like get these guys healthy before they get the injuries, and then keep them on this regiment that their body recovery is the most important part of their day, and like drill that into their head. You need your recovery time.
Yep.
Like you said, these are car crashes every play.
All right, we'll move on to yours now.
Yep. So for you, we're going, last year's rookie running backs again, both coming off of injuries. We got Shawn Judkins, who was your top back at one point, and Cam Skattebo, who is a player that everybody loves because how do you not love that dude?
Yeah, these are 2 of my favorite running backs from last year's class. Both guys with major injuries. So it's like, who am I going to take a risk on more? I look at Cam Skattebo. I'm like, okay, you're a goddamn meathead. I don't care what your injury is. I think you'll be able to overcome it just because you're a meathead. And if there's a little bit of pain to that, I think he would enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like if running is painful for him or making a cut one way, like it switches a muscle or nerve or something like that, I don't think it's going to bother him. Shawn Judkins is such a jukey friggin' guy. My friggin' RB1 for this class, I'd probably have him in top 10 as favorite RBs in the NFL. He just hasn't proved he can do it consistently in the NFL yet. So talent-wise, Judkins better. But I think I feel safer taking Cam Skattebo right now, just with the meathead factor, until I see Judkins doing it again.
Yeah, and it's interesting because wasn't Judkins' injury technically a little cleaner?
A little cleaner, but still it was a big knee injury.
Right. So let's make this a little more interesting. Let's fast forward, it's now the off season going into 2027. Do you think which one is more likely to be top 5 or
next year?
Yes. Like that you would have as a top 5 running back.
Skattebo.
You think so?
Personally, I think it's Judkins personally, if I was to pick. But I'm thinking these Giants fans are so freaking starved, man, that they're going to push Skattebo up the board if he does well. Like if both guys come back from the injury, what they were, I think Skattebo passes Judkins.
Oh, so let me clarify. So not so much draft position, but finish. So which one do you think with the finish that these two have this season, could either one of them be top 5 per game or even total to finish at the position?
For 2027 or for 2026?
Yeah, so for not where people are going to push them up to draft them, but where they actually are based on how they finished. So not ADP, more like projections.
I'd probably go Judkins because I think he can have bigger games. He could take an 80-yarder to the house where Cam Skattebo can't.
Well, and looking at their 2 teams, like the Browns could run their entire offense through Judkins with Fannin being that change of pace, play action guy. Where if you look at the Giants, I still think that offense runs through Jackson Dart and Malik Neighbors, right?
Oh, I'd say so. But if you look at some of these things that fans are putting out for starting projecting lineup of the friggin' Giants, they got Odell Beckham Jr. as their YR1. No, that's not happening. He's a player's coach. He's going to come on in certain situations. He's got no knee left like cartilage. He's at best their wide receiver 3. At best.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't see that. That's just Giants fans getting excited, right?
I don't even know if it's Giants fans because I see it contact people doing it.
I don't see it.
No, I don't either. But that's what we got for Brighter Light. Stay tuned for next week. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you've got people you want us to compare, put them in the comments and we'll get to them.
Fantasy Light.
All right, we are into Fantasy Light, and today we will be talking about the NFC North teams. So let's get these pictures up here. We're going to start with Alex's Chicago Bears fantasy thoughts. So for Alex, he's got his must as Caleb Williams, Colson Loveland, Luther Burton. He's warm on DeAndre Swift, Roman Dunze, cold on Cole Kmet, and he's got no sleepers listed for the Bears.
Yep. I also had Kyle Monangai in the warm. Might have missed that one. I don't know if that's a typo on me.
Yeah, no, I missed it. Okay. I remember it now.
Yeah. I just think the running backs in the Ben Johnson offense you're going to want. We even saw it last year. Monangai was a 7th round pick, and they had a game where they gave him 31 carries. I'm not sure that's ever happened in the NFL before. Ben Johnson just showing he's going to give it to the guy that it works for. DeAndre Swift, consistent RB2. Between the receivers and Dunze and Burden, I think that it's going to be kind of an every week that either one is going to be better. You know what I mean? It's not going to be, they're both consistent. I think one week is going to be one guy, another week is going to be another guy. In the long run, it'll look okay, but week to week, I think it could be frustrating.
Oh, yeah. Same when he was with the Lions, right? Kind of got rotated around.
Yep, and that's where I think the offense might run through Loveland and the running backs.
I think Loveland will be more consistent. We'll get to my Bears thoughts. So my must is I got Colson Loveland, Luther Burton. That's all I got there. I'm warm on DeAndre Swift, Roma Dunze, Caleb Williams. Not really cold on anybody. And then my sleeper is Zion Thomas. Like right now they've got Raymond Khalif as their slot wide receiver. I think Zion Thomas is a better player and a better slot receiver than what Raymond is. So that's why I got him in my sleeper.
I can see that. And that is one of the picks that we assume Ben Johnson's been a part of because it's speed. Khalif Raymond's also good in the return game, and Ben Johnson knows him from Detroit. So it could just be hey, help teach my guy how to do what you did. Yeah. So
it could be, but we'll move on to the Packers now. So we got Alex's fantasy thoughts here for the Packers. He's got his must as Tucker Kraft, warm on Josh Jacobs, Christian Watson, and Justin Reed, cold on Golden, Musgrave, and his sleeper is Lloyd.
Yeah, for Josh Jacobs, that's if he's on the field. I think he's going to be valuable. We don't really know if he's going to be on the field. Jordan Love as a quarterback, I'm not really interested in. So just the whole Packers team, like it's kind of just Tucker Kraft for me, and I'll take a shot on one of the two receivers.
All right. So for me, my fantasy thought for the Packers, I got a must, Christian Watson. Not really a fan of him, but after they paid him, and with who's on the board around where he's going to be a must for me, just because I think they're going to use him heavily for the first time. I'm warm on Tucker Kraft, Justin Reed, and Love. Again, Love's not a guy I have to own, but he's got a lot of weapons out there where he'll be just fine for fantasy. So if there's nothing better out there, I would grab Love. I'm cold on Golden as well. And my sleepers, I've got 2 of them here. So the first one is Damian Martinez, who's well down there on the depth chart. But I've got this in brackets.
He was on that team.
Yeah. Well, I got it as Jacob's situation dependent because his situation I'm hearing is so bad that he might not even have the option week 1 to play because he could be in jail to go through this court proceedings. So if that happens, I think if you're the Packers, you got to open up that room completely and give everybody a chance. And when I look at that room, I think he's the best running back on that roster beside Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, and one name we didn't mention, just to throw it out there, also is Chris Brooks is on that roster. We saw him get some work a little bit last year with Jacob's injury.
Yeah,
so it's a possibility. I don't know that the talent's there is why he wasn't on my list.
Exactly, and if you're going week 1 and you still have all this off season, and like I think they're going to know shortly within the month what's going on with Jacobs. Right? It's just too early on that situation to tell fully what's going on. And then my second sleeper is Bo Melton. If one of those top 3 guys go down, I think Bo slides in there and does just fine.
Well, and the interesting part for me is that we've seen him have flashes before, and then it's just like they never really gave him the opportunity again, which is kind of what we talked about with some of the other guys on this Green Bay roster. Maybe it's just a coaching style. Like, I want to see you do it consistently and doing the stuff in practice. I don't want to just see you do it in a game a couple times.
Well, you also got to look at, too, that wide receiver room, right? They got rid of Devontae Wicks to Philadelphia, and they traded Dobbs to the Patriots, both guys who are better wide receivers than Melton, but now they're gone, so he can come up there and start battling with these top 3 guys in Reed and Watson and Kraft and Golden. Like, I think I'd put more stock in Melton than I would Golden.
Yeah, it's just maybe we're just too low on Golden, but I never saw it. And he did it for what, like 2 or 3 games at Texas, but that was also when they had nobody else healthy and no other receivers to speak of. I don't know, just interesting.
Yep. All right, we'll move on to the Lions. So we got Alex's fantasy thoughts for the Lions here. His must are Gibbs, Amon-St. Brown, Laporta. He's warm on J-Mo and Goff. He's got no colds. 2 sleepers in Tesla and Pacheco.
Yeah, so Pacheco for me is the touchdown upside of the sleepers. As much as we all love Jahmyr Gibbs and as good as he is around the goal line, sometimes it just seems like the Lions want to do it their way, and their way changes all the time. So we could just see Pacheco be that short yardage back, as much as we would all dislike it. And then Tesla, the J-Mo experiment has been going well, but it seems like his role is just so inconsistent. We saw that 1,000-yard season, and I don't know if he really goes more than that. So I think there's room there for Tesla to make the impact. And we loved him coming out, bigger body and a good blocker. So it was really just, I think, learning the playbook for him.
Yeah, we'll see. I didn't list Tesla on my list, but that doesn't mean anything, right?
Yeah.
It's not listed. It just depends on the situation if I would grab him or not. So my must for the Lions are same 3, Gibbs, Amon-St. Brown, Laporta. If they're on the board, you got to grab them. It's too much of a powerful offense. I'm warm on J-Mo, Goff, Pacheco. Now, J-Mo, same thing, right? Like, I think 1,000 yards, 7 to 10 touchdowns is about his sky limit. So he's a decent wide receiver, too, to have on your team. Goff, he's got so many weapons. I'm not going to pass on him if I need a quarterback, and he's there. And then Pacheco I got as warm because the Lions are a 2-headed monster at the running back position. So just because Pacheco's behind Gibbs, he might still put up those same numbers, if not better, than what he was doing for the Chiefs because this is a better run team. I've got no colds, and my sleeper is Cedric Wilson. I like him over Tesla to take over that slot role because he's a professional.
Okay. Yeah, I saw him there, and I thought about it. It's just I think this is his 3rd team now because he was with Miami and
the Cowboys before that. But Miami was a mess last year.
Yeah, it wasn't last year, though. He was there actually when Miami was good, if I remember right, and Tyreek Hill was still doing it.
Yeah, and they only went with 2 wide receivers. We will pause that. But Miami, at the time with McDaniels, he only used 2 wide receivers, which was Hill and Waddle. So I'm not sure if Cedric Wilson really ever got a fair shot there because McDaniel's system doesn't expand really well. Alex seems to be having technical difficulties, so I'll end with the Lions here, and I'll wait for him to come back, and then we'll continue recording. All right, we'll move on. We got the Minnesota Vikings. We got Alex's fantasy thoughts here. So his must is Justin Jefferson. Can't leave him off that part. He's warm on Addison, Jennings, Jordan Mason, and Kyler Murray. He's cold on TJ Hawkinson, and he's got AJ Jones as his sleeper.
Yeah, so for me, Aaron Jones as a sleeper might be kind of interesting, especially with his age. Seemed like they were on the outs with him. It was really just a contract thing. I think that he's still the lead back there. He's definitely the pass catcher. Demond Claiborne is also involved if Jones or Jordan Mason were to go down. So I think the offense is going to have good pieces. It's just going to be inconsistent, I think, for the most part. And that's what comes with Kyler Murray as your quarterback.
Yep,
He
small
likes that
little
schoolyard
guy.
play.
So my fantasy thoughts for the Vikings. I got my must is Justin Jefferson. Going to be hard to pass on him in that first round. Even with quarterback problems, I'm warm on Jordan Addison and Jordan Mason. I've got a lot of guys in my cold here. I'm cold on TJ Hawkinson, AJ Jones, Kyler Murray, and Juan Jennings. Hawkinson, I think he's one of the most overrated tight ends to walk this game. I call him TJ Dropperson myself. He always seems to be dropping the ball 2-3 times a game. AJ Jones, they're going to try him. For sure they are. So I get why you put him in your sleeper, but I think he's too old. He's past that running back age, and he's just a player's type of coach now. Kyler Murray, I will never like. So was always going to be on my cold list. I don't care where you are. And then Juan Jennings. I think Juan Jennings only works in San Francisco. That's what I think. So we will see.
Yeah, I could see that. And that's where I go. And I understand that thought process. I also like Kevin O'Connell as a coach. And I think that he brought him in because he has a plan for him. It was real late in the offseason, though. So
because it got him cheap, man.
Yeah.
He held out for the 49ers because he won it close to $20 million a season, and he ended up signing for about $5 million a season with the Vikings. And the 49ers offered him $17 million. Like, you were offered $17 million by the 49ers and turned that down, and you went and signed for the Vikings for about $5 million. So I get why the Vikings brought him there, but I also don't think he works in the Kevin Stefanski system. And my sleeper is J.J. McCarthy, because I do not want Kyler Murray as a quarterback anywhere.
Yep, that's fair.
But that's our fantasy thoughts for the NFC North. Stay tuned next week when we'll do the AFC North. Get to your Steelers and boys.
Oh, yeah. All right, I'm ready when you are.
Fantasy IDP.
All right, we are into Fantasy IDP, and this week me and Alex are going to be doing our top 10 Fantasy IDP players. Doesn't matter if you're a rookie or a vet, you're eligible for this list. So let's get to it. We'll start with Alex's Fantasy IDP top 10. Number 1, he's got Jack Campbell from the Lions. 2, he's got Jordan Brooks from Miami. 3, he's got Myles Garrett from the Rams. 4, he's got Max Crosby from the Raiders. 5 is Zach Bond from the Eagles. 6 is Brian Burns from the Giants. 7 is Roquan Smith from the Ravens. 8 is Oli Khan from the Jaguars. 9 is TJ Watt from the Steelers. And 10 is AJ Hutchinson from the Lions.
Then one that I notice is missing is totally dependent on how this Travis Hunter, and that's if he's going to get some offensive play as well. He might be able to sneak in here. It's just this top 10 is so deep. It's tough to see where you could really squeeze him in, especially if he's only playing, 30-40% of the offensive snaps.
You're talking Hunter?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see him, but it all depends too, right? Like, we don't know what they're going to do with him because they said he's just going to be spot play on the offense, full-time defense. And if he's a full-time on defense and he's a shutdown corner, he's not going to get many points on defense, so it would be hard to put him in a top 10 list.
Right. And that's the other part of it, because the whole reason we loved him coming out was if he is playing in full-time both sides.
He should play
both
sides.
Yeah. It could just be that he's not playing enough that we're throwing in there.
So you want to talk about why you got your guys where you got them?
Sorry. So for me, Jack Campbell, that Lions defense is always going to be good to start the year for sure, and then they just start to get injuries. So I've got him as a top guy. I think if anything, I might be able to move some of the linebackers up, like Roquan Smith, a little lower. To me, I'm just, like I said last time, I'm kind of looking for that big play, and sacks are going to be worth more than those tackles. So, again, it's kind of that trying to figure out what kind of scoring do you have is the big thing. Know your scoring.
Yeah,
but Roquan Smith's still a stud.
Well, for me, my top 10s, I've got a lot more linebackers on here because they get the tackles, they get the interceptions, and they get the sacks.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm drafting a top defensive edge guy before I have drafted any of these linebackers because they're harder to get. They're good ones. So if you got a chance to get Myles Garrett, Aiden Hutchinson, TJ Watt, Max Crosby, go out and get those freaking guys because they are must-gets. But as for how I think they're going to finish the season, I got my number 1 guy is Roquan Smith from the Ravens. Number 2, Corey Schlesinger from the Browns. 3 is Nate Landman from the Rams, followed by Myles Garrett from the Rams. 5 is Aiden Hutchinson from the Lions. 6 is Zach Bond from the Eagles. Vic Fangio's toy. 7 I got is Fred Warner. He is looking good and coming back early from injury, so I'm going to have him on here. 8 is Max Crosby. 10 is Cedric Gray from the Tennessee Titans. 9 is Cedric Gray from the Tennessee Titans, sorry. And 10 is Sonny Styles for the Commanders, the rookie. Because I think he's that good and just going to dominate the game.
I could see it. And Carson Schlesinger is one I had in there, and then I took him out for TJ Watt. But that probably Homer right there. But
for sure.
It's interesting that we both have Zach Bond at the same exact spot.
Well, I couldn't get TJ Watt into my list because he's so injury prone. And it's not that he won't hit those numbers if he's on the field. It's just he has a chance on not hitting those numbers just from due to missed games.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But this is
that also seems to be one of the ways that we.
All right, well, that's our fantasy IDP. Stay tuned for next week, and we'll probably go into just certain positions and go through them. Old Timer Spotlight. Let's dive into the past and see who we can come up with and talk about their game. All right, we're into Old Timer Spotlight. We'll do this a couple times a year. We like to go back, travel in time, and point out players from the past and just spotlight them, bring some light to what their game was. So we'll get started. For me, I am going Bruce Smith from the Buffalo Bills. Played on all 4 of those teams that made the Super Bowl. So he's got 4 Super Bowl appearances, but 0 Super Bowl wins. So tough for him. Had a great career. Everybody, the reason I picked him is because I'm seeing a whole bunch of stuff lately on social media talk about Reggie White and how good Reggie White was and dominant. Well, Reggie White played at the same time as Bruce Smith, and if I had to pick between Bruce Smith and Reggie White, I'm going Bruce Smith all the way. The man had 200 sacks, 1,075 tackles, 45 forced fumbles, 15 forced fumble recoveries, 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown, 2 safeties, 2009 Hall of Fame member, 11 Pro Bowls, 8 All-Pros, 2 two-time Player of the Year, defensive, all 80s Hall of Fame, all 90s Hall of Fame, and he was the number 1 overall draft pick by the Buffalo Bills in 1985. He played 19 seasons. This guy was a dog.
He was for sure. And it's interesting because we'll notice something similar between the 2 players that we picked. But man, Bruce Smith is just a monster. And he's one of those guys that I do agree with you, does not get enough credit. And that's part of what we kind of talked about with the quarterbacks is it depends on who else is playing in that era. Because those bigger market teams, if they have a star, that star is going to get more attention, even if you're better. So it's interesting. I like it.
Was it the 85 draft that had Elway, Marino, and Kelly?
I believe so. That's the one we always talk about, right? 85 or 86.
And with those 3 quarterbacks on the board, Bruce Smith was still the first overall pick by the Buffalo Bills.
That's just crazy.
Oh, man, he was a dog. He played for Washington. I forgot that he played for the Commanders until I was going back through and doing this. But when it was his time in Buffalo, there was nobody better at the position than him. All right, we can move on.
He's one that you and I talk about quite a bit.
Yep. We can move on to your guy now, Jim Marshall.
Yeah, so Jim Marshall was part of the Purple People Eater defense back in the day with Alan Page and some of those other guys. I think he was the lesser known one, which is interesting because he played from 61 to 79, and so 18 years, and also made 4 Super Bowls and did not win one, which is interesting that we both picked guys that happened to. With that, because they're a smaller market, he didn't get the same notoriety, but he did have the most consecutive starts for a defensive player with 270, which is just insane. I don't think we see that in today's game anymore. Also,
no, and he probably
had 29 fumble recoveries, which was a record. So was also wrecking games on that defense.
Oh, that was one of the best defenses of all time, the Purple People Eaters. And like when I think of the Purple People Eaters, he's the first guy that comes to my mind, but I know he's not for most of them.
Yeah. And it's just interesting because you look at those names. He's also not in the Hall of Fame, which to me, I feel like even the NFL Network has done segments saying he's the best non-Hall of Famer at the edge position.
Well,
so
you do know.
I think maybe one day it happens.
And you want to see how bad the Cleveland Browns were? They originally selected this guy the 4th round, 44th overall, and then they traded him or released him, and that's how the Vikings got him. But he was originally a Cleveland Brown. So
yeah, that's the crazy part of this. So it's just, man, Browns during the Myles Garrett stuff, and now we're talking about a potential Hall of Famer, or could have been, in Jim Marshall, who was a Cleveland Brown, and then we got to 8-4 Super Bowls and didn't win them. So just weird how things work out sometimes.
Yep, for sure. But that's Old Timer Spotlight. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
Sit down and talk about all the world stuff that goes on around the world under your nose. Never know where we'll end up. Come with us and we'll chase that rabbit down there over there today.
All right, we're into Shine the Light. Today we're going to talk specifically about a book around Roswell interviews of an alien called Alien Interview. This was written by Lawerence R Spencer. Basically, what he wrote this book beforehand. I forget what this book was. And then he rates this book, Alien Interview, and it starts out with, I'm just the editor. I didn't write this stuff. It was sent to me by Melita O'Donnell McElroy. And then he just says he kind of put them all together into this book and formatted it. And the book was written in 2008. Basically, she describes in this thing how she worked for the military. She was a nurse. She went to go one day. She saw a bunch of people around that was just odd and ordinary. And these MPs came up to her and what she said, asked her to go to this room, but she knew she had no choice. So she went with them, and there was an alien there. So she sat down just looking at it curiously. And then eventually she went to say something, but the alien heard her thought in her head. So they started talking telepathically, but this was all being recorded. And she had to also debrief the military on everything that was happening. So she did all that sort of stuff, but she didn't tell them everything that this alien was telling her. And basically the ET was telling her that she was one of these people from a galactic army of sorts with 3,000 soldiers that were sent to this universe to find the machines for the soul sucking trap that is Earth's prison. And once they find it, to destroy it. So they came to Earth, hid it in the Himalayan mountains, were eventually discovered by the Old Dominion, who had controlled this Earth and put these soul sucking machines in places around the universe to capture our souls before they left our universe. So that all these 3,000 souls were sucked into this system and they were lost forever. Well, this alien happened to come across her and told her that this is what she is, talked about how once you die, the Old Dominion had this traps in the universe to capture your soul before it left. It recycled you, wiped your memory, put you back into a baby, and then that's why you cry, because you've lost all your memories from going through this soul suck machine. She also went on to talk how the human bodies were more of a vessel that held the soul to allow you to do stuff in the physical realm, but it was more of like spirituality type of thing. Very interesting book. A lot of people in the comment sections online and Reddit and that talk about how they resonate with this story and feel like it's been the same thing.
Mm. Yeah, so this book, I haven't read it, but maybe I should pick it up because it is super interesting, and like hearing the stories. I'm all about listening to it and trying to figure out like, okay, well, is this plausible? Is this real? Is this not? You know, kind of doing that investigation style thing. And one of the things that caught me about this story is that she's a nurse and the alien connected with her and not the MPs, which would also make sense just if you put yourself in that alien shoes and try to be like human in that situation. You're surrounded by things. You're going to find the person that's trying to help you, not the ones that are intimidating, carrying guns, like that military style. So it's interesting, and I'm curious as to how it all works out in the long run. So with what she's talking about and the bodies being a vessel, I think that resonates with people too, because we talk about stream of consciousness and like for creatives tapping into the muse, right? Like I think that fits a lot more with our brains are more like an antenna to receive something, not so much we're this permanent thing, I guess. It's hard to explain.
Oh yeah. Well, ever since I was a kid, man, I've long said the Earth has been a prison planet, which is well before this book was even written. Apparently, a lot of people have that, and they feel like they're just trapped because there's a lot of suffering on Earth, right? So people just want to think that there's some reason for it. And then when you look at this book, the author of this book has only written 3 books, one of which is why he said she sent all this material to him, because she thought he was a investigative journalist that, you know, would tell her story because she'd hid it for so long. So when he only writes 3 books, it's kind of like, And this book is free on the governmentlibrary.org, whatever that's called. You can go online and get a digital copy of it free. And the first thing it says is like, we believe this is a book of fiction. But the author wrote it not saying whether it was fiction or true, just saying that this was all just documents were given. They've gone through with her name, went through military records. Again, couldn't find her name as ever existed ever working at Roswell. But again, working at Roswell, interviewing aliens, if you're the elite, you're going to get rid of all that information so it can never be found.
Right. Well, and like the whole Bob Lazar story, telling the same story for what's it been, 60 years or something like that. And even with him, his story hasn't changed, but they make it seem like he didn't exist. And then I don't know if you saw that newer documentary coming out where they're rebuilding S4 where he worked. And he was pointing out things that he couldn't have known unless he was there. So just kind of crazy.
Be interesting. Yeah, I know you had a new documentary. It was just released not so long ago, actually. I want to check it out.
Yeah.
They would have killed him had he not gone public when he did. I do believe.
And he believes that too. And I don't think it's that far-fetched considering some of the other cover-ups we've seen.
Nope, not at all. That's why you got to remember, people. Question everything.
Have a good one.